Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Start with the Shanti mantra. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From untruth, lead me to the truth. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning and good evening, everyone. So today we will do a recap of the previous class, and we will continue to explore the time scales in the Indian astronomy. And as usual, we'll have some QA towards the end. So quick recap from last class. So last class, we started with a Sankalpa mantra, where we saw the different time scales that are laid out in the mantra, starting from the life of Brahma to Parartha to Kalpa to Manvantara and to the Yuga. So we also saw the computation behind how the life of Brahma is calculated. So we saw that the life of Brahma is 311.04 trillion years, which is 36,000 kalpas. 36,000 comes from 360 days into 100 years of Brahma. And then we saw that one kalpa spans 4.32 billion years, which is basically 1 day of Brahma, which in turn contains 14 manvantras, with each manvantara being 306.72 million years. And each manvantara contains 71 complete full yugas, which is the 4 yugas, the Divya yugas. And we saw that there are 4 yugas: Satyuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali in the ratio 4, 3, 2, 1. So we saw that. We also saw some references to the yugas in Puranas, Siddhantas, and the Aryabhatiya. We briefly touched upon the Aryabhata's mathematical notation as well. And then we saw that there is a 5-year yuga cycle as well, which was mostly followed in the Vedanga Jyotisha era for a more practical calendrical use for the rituals. We saw that it starts with the winter solstice, which is the starting of the Shukla Paksha of the Magha month, and it has 62 lunar months, 1830 sidereal days, and 1860 tithis within it, which also includes 2 Adhika Masas. So we also saw that the difference between the need for the 2 different yuga cycles. One was more, the 5-year yuga is more like a calendar, practical tool, whereas the 4 yuga system is a cosmological framework to show the rise and fall of dharma across the larger time cycles. And it's oriented more towards the cyclical nature of the cosmos itself, right? And then we saw the Samvatsara, or the lunar year, the definition being the time frame in which the different seasons are residing. We saw that there are 60 Samvatsaras starting from Prabhava, Vibhava, and currently we are in the Vishwavasu Nama Samvatsara. We saw that the average duration of a lunar year is 354 days, which comes from the 12 months into average duration of a synodic month. The synodic month is defined as a month from new moon to another, one new moon to another new moon, 29.54 days, giving 354 days. the Samvatsara always starts with the Chandramana Yugadi, the first day of Chaitra, and then starts with the Chaitra Shukla Pratipad and ends with Falguna Krishna Amavasya. So we also saw that this is the lunar year, and then there's a solar year as well, which has a different number of days, and these two are reconciled using a what is called as an intercalary month or a Adhika Masa, which occurs once in roughly 33 months. Right? We also saw that the 60 years present, or the 60 Samvatsaras, which cyclically repeat, align with the return of Saturn and Jupiter, which happens once in every 60 years. Right? And yeah, so that is the lunar year. Right? So I think we covered until this stage. We will proceed further, but so we'll continue to let's say we'll continue with the Sankalpa mantra and see the smaller time scales that are involved. But before that, as usual, a small question. Can you look at these two pictures? And first of all, can you identify them and can you connect these two pictures? I think the first one should be easy.
Bhishma Ekadasi, maybe. Something to do with Bhishma.
So there's a specific event that is represented in this picture.
The
right?
water, the primordial, the water that is going into Bhishma's this thing.
Mm-hmm. So you see that there is Bhishma lying on the bed of arrows. Then there is Lord Krishna.
Uttarayan Parva, Madhu.
Correct. You are on the right track, Paniraj. So
thank you.
Yeah. So now, what could be the picture on the right?
This is in
Could that be
Sudhasagar.
Dakshinayana?
Okay. Can you identify who is that? Who is lying
Of
down?
course, Vishnu Bhagwan is in Sudhasagar.
Right. But then he is in a certain pose, right?
Yeah. So
he's in a Shayana pose. He's
right,
sleeping.
Exactly. Now, if you connect the dots between what Faniraj said on the left and what you are now saying on for the right picture, are you able
Dakshinayana and Uttarayana?
Perfect. So on the left is where Bhishma Pitamaha actually dies, right? I mean, so he's killed by the Arjuna's arrow after, I mean, he chooses his own time of death and he chooses the Uttarayana, beginning of the Uttarayana as his time of death. And on the right, you see Mahavishnu entering into his Yoga Nidra, right?
Chaturmasya.
Where the Chaturmasya starts, and he sleeps for the duration of the 4 months, and then he wakes up at the end of the 4 months during Uttana Dwadashi, right? So this signifies the beginning of the Dakshinayana. So this is what we are going to discuss today among various other topics. So I just thought I will just give a quick, what do you call, like a introduction. So this is Uttarayana. This is the beginning of Uttarayana when when Bhishma Pitamaha decides to die. And it is the beginning of Dakshinayana when Mahavishnu enters the Yoga Nidra, right? So with that said, the Uttarayana and the Dakshinayana constitute 1 year, right? So we talked about the lunar year or the Samvatsara, but then there is the solar year as well. Now, the solar year is it doesn't start with Ugadi it doesn't go from Ugadi to Ugadi. Rather, it goes with the transit of Surya into the Mesha Rasi, which typically happens in current modern times, April 14th, as per the Gregorian calendar. And every month it transits into the adjacent Rasi. So it goes from Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer to Leo, and then it comes back to Pisces, and then it goes to Aries. All this transit into the 12 different zodiac signs happens in 12 different months on the basis, and this entire cycle of the sun through all the 12 signs and coming back to the original point where it started is the Saurabda, or the solar year, right? So the solar year, it typically consists of 365 days. I mean, this we all know, 365 days. Now, even here, if you remember, there is a Sayana and a Nirayana system. Now, as per the Nirayana system, the exact duration of the solar year is 365 days, 6 hours, 9 minutes, and so on. And then as per the Sayana system, it is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, right? Now, if you compare this with the lunar year, which had 354 days, you can see that there is a 11-day difference, which is what causes the Adhika Masa. Now, there are some references to the solar year in different texts. Veda Samhita lays this out in a very poetic manner. 12 spoke boats, 1 wheel, 3 navels. In these, there are 360 shankus, or rods put in like pegs. So it's like indirectly indicating that there are 12 months. Right. So the 12 spoke boats correspond to the 12 months, and the 360 shankus represent the 360 days of the year, and it also talks about 722 pairs of suns, which is basically the day and the night are combined into the 360 days to give the 720 numbers. So there are some references to the Saurabda in the Veda Samhita. The Tantra Sangraha also says the time required for the complete revolution of the sun around the ecliptic is a solar year, right? The period for which the sun dwells in a Rasi is a solar month, and the 2 Ayanas are nothing but its motion. So this 12 months, 6 months of the 6 of them are Uttarayana, 6 of them are Dakshinayana, right? Yeah, so this is the definition of a solar year, and the basis for the calculation of the lunar year and the solar year are different, right? So we just have to remember that, right? Now in our Sankalpa, typically we refer to the lunar year. So when we say Margashirsha Mase, I'm not sure if this actually differs in different Sankalpas, but typically it refers to the lunar year. Right? So you say Margashirsha Mase, then you say the Paksha and the Tithi corresponding to the day that you are doing that activity, right? So it's typically a lunar month that we are referring to there. Whereas if you go to the southern part of India, if you look at the names of the months, like Sittirai, Vaigasi, Ani, Avadi, they are all aligned to Tithi. They are all solar months, right? So, for example, the Sittirai goes from April 14th. The Chaitra used in northern part of India goes from the Chaitra Shukla Pratipat to the Chaitra Krishna Amavasya, right? Whereas the equivalent Chittirai in Tamil or in Kerala, Tamil Nadu or Kerala corresponds to the solar month, where it is the ingress of the sun into Mesha and the egress of the sun out of Mesha. It is considered as one. So these are slightly 2 different systems that we will have to be aware of. Now, okay. So now then you say, so you have said the name of the Samvatsara. Then the next is the Ayana. So the Ayana, as we have seen earlier as well, there are two Ayanas, Dakshinayana, sun's southward journey for 6 months, and Uttarayana, sun's northward journey for 6 months. Typically, Uttarayana is from Jan to July, and July to Jan is typically Dakshinayana. So if you look at it, typically on March 21st, you have the vernal equinox, right? So if you recollect, the vernal equinox is the point where the celestial equator and the eclipse are intersecting, right? So that is the point S1 here, right? Now, after vernal equinox, your days start increasing. Of course, it is the days become longer than the nights, and you are moving towards summer solstice, which is point S2 in this diagram. And in S2, you have reached the summer solstice where it is the days can't get any more longer there, right? So then the Dakshinayana starts. The days slowly start getting shorter compared to the nights. And in S3, you are again looking at the day and the night being the duration being equal. And after that, the night time starts increasing after S3 until S4. And in the S4, we have reached the winter solstice. Typically happens around December 22nd. Ajay?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that these summer and winters are for the northern hemisphere, so they will be completely reversed as you go to the southern hemisphere. And I'm just talking about the because I lived in Australia for many years, so it was quite strange to actually have the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere being the summer solstice down south.
That's correct. Thanks, Ajay, for pointing that out. You're absolutely right. All this applies to the northern hemisphere, and at the southern hemisphere, it is exactly the symmetrical opposite of it, right? Where of course the equinoxes are the same for the south and the southern and the northern hemisphere. However, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere happens on December 22nd, and the winter solstice happens on June 21st, right? But yeah, that's because of the tilt of the Earth, that it happens like that. But so the point is, Uttarayana is from the winter solstice to the summer solstice when the days progressively get longer, and the Dakshinayana is the exact opposite. And typically it is said that, so typically in our culture, Uttarayana is considered to be more auspicious than the Dakshinayana. In fact, Uttarayana is that 6 months time frame is considered to be one day of the Devas, and the Dakshinayana is considered to be one night of the Devas, right? So that is how the cultural alignment is there. So that's about Dakshinayana and Uttarayana. Very simple concept, nothing complicated here. So Samvatsara has two Ayanas. That's the idea here, right? However, the Ayana has captured the imagination of many people. For example, we can see the Ayana in our day-to-day life on a daily basis, right? So this photograph captures the Ayana very beautifully. So a person has taken the photo of the sun. I don't know if it's rising or setting, but it doesn't matter. Of the sun rising at different months of the year at the same place, right? So what happens when it is the equinox times? When it is March 21st or September 21st, the sun rises in the exact east direction, right? However, when as you move towards the summer solstice, the sun starts moving in a northeast direction, right? And at the point of summer solstice, which probably is this June 21st here, it has reached an extreme northeastern direction, right? And after that, it reverses direction, right? And it comes. So in September, you see that it has come to the same position where it is in March time. So in the equinox time, you're looking at the exact east direction that the sun is rising. And after that, it starts moving towards the south. And then so you see that the sun is actually rising more in the southeast direction. And then it reaches its maximum southeast point sometime in December. Again, all of these apply to the northern hemisphere. And then the cycle continues. So we can actually observe this on a monthly basis, and you can see that how the Ayanas are actually changing. So I thought, it's a very nice photograph that illustrates how we can actually feel the Ayana on our daily basis, right? Of course, we feel it through the duration of the day and the night as well. But this photograph has beautifully captured it, right? It has also captured the imagination of someone else, and in this case, it is Kalidasa himself, who in Raghuvamsa has this very beautiful poem. So, right? It says, sojourning with the hospitable families of sages on his route, Rama traveled southward like the sun passing down the 10 asterisms coming in the rainy season, beginning with Ardra and ending with Swati, right? Called the rainy asterisms, right? So it is typically believed that the monsoons in India start when the sun enters the Ardra nakshatra. Typically happens in the first week of June, right? That's when the southwest monsoon sets across India, right? And when the sun traverses 10 nakshatras, starting from Ardra to Swati, which covers nakshatras such as Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushya, Ashlesha, Magha, the Falguni nakshatras, Chitra, Hasta, and then Hasta, Chitra, and then Swati. Across these 10 nakshatras is the extent of the rainy season. So when the sun enters Swati, or when the sun leaves Swati, the rainy season is supposed to end, right? Now, just like the sun entering these different nakshatras, Lord Rama, when he is moving southward from Ayodhya to, I believe, Panchavati, or I don't know if it's further south, he is actually staying in different rishis' houses. Just like the sun is staying in certain nakshatras, he is also staying in different rishis' houses. The rainy season is happening. And Rama is also equated to the sun, right? Where Rama, of course, belongs to the lineage of the sun itself, right? He is a Surya Vamsha, right? So it's a very beautiful poem which equates Rama to the sun. The movement of Rama southward from Ayodhya to Panchavati as the Dakshinayana, where the sun moves in the southerly direction. It also captures that Rama resides in the abodes of these 10 different rishis, which is also equated to the sun transiting to the 10 rainy nakshatras. So it's a very beautiful poem, which I thought I should share it with the group, right? So here Rama, who gradually journeyed from Ayodhya southwards, is likened to the sun traveling through constellations from the northern solstice to the southern solstice, right? So what are we saying here? When Rama moving south is the sun moving south, which is Dakshinayana. Rama meeting the rishis is the sun passing through these nakshatras. Rama entering the rainy forest is like the sun entering the rainy season asterisms. And the hermitages illuminate Rama's path, and the nakshatras are illuminating the sun's path. It's a very nice Kalidasa's imagination in full flow, where he is also bringing in the layer of Dakshinayana along with the story of the Ramayana. So I just thought it's an interesting anecdote that I just wanted to share with you. Now, you can even take this further, if we go into research and see if the 10 rishis whose abode was given for Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana to stay, correspond to these 10 nakshatras in some way. So that's a potential research topic that we can take it. But I just thought, I just share this for now, right? And I hope you found it interesting as well. Okay, so now you have said Dakshinayana, right? So Vishwasarama Samvatsare, Dakshinayane. Now the next, so within the Ayana or within the year, there are seasons or Ritu, right? Now we'll see some references to the seasons, right? So yeah, the sun is said to be the cause for the seasons, right? So the sun generates, so this is from the Rig Veda Samhita. It says that the sun generates all the earthly directions one by one and controls the seasons, right? So sun is said to be the cause of the seasons. So as the distance between the earth and the sun keeps changing, the temperature and the wind patterns change, which change, the vegetation and the life, within the earth as well. So the sun is actually the driver of the seasonal activity that happens within the earth, right? So how many seasons are there, right? Except the Rig Samhita, right? All other Vedic works mention 6 as the number of seasons at various places. And at many of these places, the names of all the seasons have been mentioned collectively. Right? So there are many places, mostly it is said to be 6 seasons. In some places, it is said to be like 5 seasons are there, but mostly it is 6, right? We'll see what those 6 seasons are. Okay. So the first season, right, always begins with the spring. So the spring season or the Vasanta Ritu has always been given a very special place in all our texts, right? Maybe that's when the life really springs from the winter time where, there is not much life, right? So spring is the mouth of all the seasons, or it's the beginning of all the seasons. It's given a very special place amongst the seasons, right? And even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says like this, right? Of the Vedas, he is the Samaveda, right? Of the mantras, he is the Gayatri mantra. Of the months, he is the Margashirsha. And of the seasons, he is the flower bearing spring. So Lord Krishna himself, by equating it himself to the spring, places the spring season at a very high pedestal, and the rest are, just following, right? Now, in many texts in our ancient Indian astronomy, the entire year is likened to a bird. Right? So the metaphor for a year is a bird, and the different parts of the bird are the different seasons. Right? So as you can see, spring is the mouth of the season. So if you look at this image, it says the Vasanta Ritu is the mouth of the bird. Right? The Grishma Ritu is the right wing, or the summer season is the right wing of the bird. The Varsha Ritu, or the monsoon season, is the tail of the bird. Right? The Sharad, or the autumn season, is the left wing of the bird. And Hemanta and Shishira is the cold season, which is the chest of the bird. And Hemanta is also the body of the bird. So these are the 6 seasons that most of our texts refer to. However, the texts that refer to as 5 seasons usually combine this Hemanta and Sharad into one season, and it just refers to as one season, right? So that's how the seasons are defined. And so in our Sankalpa, currently I think the Sharad Ritu is going on, if I'm not wrong. So we say Sharad. So we say Vishwasarama Samvatsare Dakshinayane Margashirsha Mase. So we are currently in the Margashirsha Mase. Shukla Pakshe. Okay, we'll come to the Paksha later. Sorry, and before that we say it is Sharad Ritu. Right? So we are currently in the Sharad Ritu, which is before winter, pre-winter. Right? Now, So now, so we saw that. So how do we actually? So which seasons should we actually consider, right? So there are some rules that are given to determine which system of seasons we should consider for our day-to-day activity, right? So the actual season corresponds to the Earth's tilt. So there are three options we have, like Chandramana, and then the Sauramana, which is again Nirayana, and then we have the Sauramana, which is the tropical or the Sayana, right? So Chandramana, the spring season typically happens in Chaitra and Vaishaka, Grishma in the Jeshta and Ashada, and so on and so forth. The problem with this systems is we have the Adhika Masa, right? And the lunar year is 10 days shorter than the tropical year. Hence, every year beginning of Chaitra Masa slides by roughly 10 days. So this may not be a right indicator of when the seasons actually change, right? So the Chandramana system will not, because like we saw, the sun is the cause of the season. So any calendar that we use must align with the sun's calendar, not with the moon's, any lunisolar calendar or lunar calendar. It must align with the solar calendar, right? So let's look at the sidereal Nirayana Sauramana, right, which is the sun transiting through different rashis. So we can say the sun in Meena and Mesha could be Vasanta, the sun in Rishabha and Mithuna could be Grishma, summer, and so on and so forth, right? The actual seasons depend on the Earth's tilt towards the sun, and hence Jyotisha Grantha doesn't recommend using this system also. However, still some Panchangas are using the Nirayana Sauramana, right? So what should we then use, right? So the right one to use is actually the Sayana sun, right? So if you recollect, the Nirayana system is when the sun comes back to the same position in the sky against the backdrop of the nakshatra, background nakshatras, right? However, in the Sayana, it is the sun coming back to the vernal equinox point, right? So the Sayana system is actually more preferable for the calculation of the seasons, right, rather than a Nirayana system. Right? So I think that's the kind of the conclusion from the seasons, right? So we have seen the seasons. Now now we are coming to a slightly lesser unit of time, which is the actual month or the masa, right? So masa. Okay, so why is there even a month, right? So the month is caused because the moon travels around the earth, and because the sun, the sun's shadow on the or the sun's light on the moon causes the different tithis, and this cycle typically takes 30 days. So we have a month which consists of 2 fortnights, right? One fortnight in which the light on the moon increases from Amavasya to Paurnima, which is the Shukla Paksha, and conversely, where the light on the moon decreases from Amavasya to Paurnami, which is the Krishna Paksha. 15 tithis on each side, making it a total of 30 tithis. So a combination of the Shukla Paksha and the Krishna Paksha is what is the one Chandra Masa, right? So I think nothing more to explain here. It's kind of we all know this concept. So yeah, the names of the tithis: Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, all the way till Purnima. And then this is the Shukla Paksha, and then the Krishna Paksha, you have again Prathama, Dvitiya, all the way till Amavasya. Right? Now, what exactly is a Tithi? Tithi is defined by the angular separation between the moon and the sun. So what does it mean? It means that when the angular separation between the moon and the sun is 0, that is the exact Amavasya. The sun and the moon are exactly at the same degree. So that's an Amavasya, right? Whereas when the sun and the moon are exactly at 180 degrees of each other, that is when the Purnima is, right? So this is the Purnima. And then when the angular, as the angular separation increases because the moon keeps moving away from the sun, then, the Tithis also start progressing from Pratama all the way till Purnima. And then after Purnima also, the angular separation actually starts at the, it's shown as 192, 204 and all that, but actual, it starts decreasing here as well, right? So the distance between the sun and the moon decreases, but the angular separation increases because of the 360-degree system that we are following, right? But yeah, basically one lunar month consists of these 30 tithis. I think that's the real takeaway from here, right? So now, so we saw this, right? So we have the 12 months in the Samvatsara, Chaitra, Vaishaka, Jyeshta, Ashada, Shravana. So there are 12 months in 1 year, right? Now these 12 months, each of these months will have a full moon and a new moon. Now in a Purnimanta system, we consider that the month starts with a full moon. We discussed this briefly in the last class as well. And in the Amanta system, the year starts with the new moon, and with every new moon, a new month starts, and it goes like that. The duration of 1 month is 29.5 days, as we saw. 29.5 multiplied by 12 gives you a lunar year of 354 days, right? Now, let us see a few examples of this, right? So, for example, let's look at November 19th, 2025. Right? So, this was just 2 weeks back or so, Kartika Amavasya. So, you can see that the angular separation between the sun and the moon is very less, So you can see that the moon is here, the sun is here, and the separation is very less. So let me just quickly show this in J-Hora. We have November 2025, right? So you see that the moon is in 25 Libra and the sun is in 3 Scorpio, right? So that's this is so there's a very little separation between the sun and the moon, and then so we are having the Amavasya Tithi has already started, right? You can see that the Amavasya has started on the Kartika month, and it's 64% that is left, right? So this is so on Amavasya, the sun, the moon are kind of close to each other, right? Now, if you look at the Margashirsh of Purnima, right, which will happen on December 4th, 2025, the coming week. So what happens is, as the days progress, the moon keeps moving away from the sun, right? So the angular separation between the sun and the moon is increasing here, and hence the tithis are also progressing from Pratama, Dvitiya all the way till Saptami. And then when you actually reach December 4th, the moon has come exactly 180 degrees opposite of the sun, which is when the Margashirsha Paurnami has or Purnima has started, right? So there's a 180 degrees angular separation between the sun and the moon. So you can see that the tithis are a function of the angular separation between the sun and the moon. Now, you have the full moon during this day, and after that, as the day progresses, the moon starts waning, and the Krishna Paksha has now started. So you have entered Krishna Pratama, Krishna Dvitiya. The angular separation is increasing, and the Krishna Paksha Tithis are increasing, and then you keep going until December, maybe I think December 19th or so, when again you will have okay, yeah. So December 19th, you actually have the the Margashirsha Amavasya, right? So again, the angular separation between the moon and sun has decreased, very much. So this is how the month or the tithis are progressing, within a month, and this is how the month, the month keeps changing as the moon keeps moving away from the sun. So this is the Margashirsha Amavasya, when the sun and the moon. So 1 month has actually passed between the Kartika Amavasya and the Margashirsha Amavasya, with the midpoint of that being the Margashirsha Purnima, right? Now, this is all good when there is no Adhika Masa, right? But then, okay, but before that, why do the Masas even have these names? Why it is called as Chaitra, Vaishakha? For example, right, the current month is actually called Margashirsha or Margashira, whatever, right? So, but why is it actually called, why is it that, right? That's because if you look at the new full moon that happens in this month, it will typically happen near the Margashirsha, if not exactly on the Margashirsha nakshatra. So if you look at the moon, it is in Rohini, right, which is the next nakshatra of Margashirsha. So this is the Mrigashirsha nakshatra, right, or 1 day after that. So the nakshatra on which the moon is present when the full moon happens, the month is named after that, right? So that is how the names of the months are calculated. For example, the Chaitra Masa means that the sun is in, so the moon is in Chitra Nakshatra when the full moon happens, right? So if you look at, say, sometime in March 2025, right? So you have the Falguna, then you have, so let's go to March 27, so for example. Okay, so you see that the Chaitra month has started. This is the Amavasya, so the moon and the sun are at an angular separation of close to 0. However, if you fast forward 15 days, so let's take April 12th, for example, right? So you can see that this is a Paurnimasya, right? And then you see that the moon is actually in Chitra. So this is why it is a Chaitra Masa. So similarly, when the moon is in Vishaka, it's the Vaishakha Masa. Then the moon is in Jeshta, the full moon happens, is Jeshta Masa, and so on and so on. And this is how typically the months are named, based on the full moon, right, and not on the new moon per se. So this is the concept of the month, right? So we have Margashirsha Mase, Shukla Pakshe. So now you can see that the solar year, we saw that it was 365.25 days, right? Whereas the lunar year is only 354 days, right? So it always keeps falling by 11.25 days every year, so to speak. And by the end of the third year, you are having to compensate 1 full month, which is why we have what is called as the Adhika Masa, which brings the solar year and the lunar year back to the same starting point, and then this just keeps repeating, right? So what exactly is Adhika Masa, right? See, between 2 successive new moons or full moons, there is no solar transit. Such a lunar month is called as the Adhika Masa, right? So approximately an Adhika Masa occurs once in 3 years. More precisely, it occurs 7 times in a span of 19 years. And whenever there's an Adhika Masa, that particular Samvatsara, the lunar year, will have 13 lunar months. So the last time this happened was in 2023, right? 2023. And one of the assignment questions that I will request is to calculate the next Adhika Masa, when it will happen and why it is an Adhika Masa, right? So just to understand this first point, right? Between two successive new moons or full moons, there is no solar transit, right? So I'll briefly take you back to this thing, right? See here, you see that when the sun and the moon join, so let me go back to that March 29th time frame, right? So yeah, so when the sun and the moon, see the sun and moon are joining in this particular sign, right? So this is Meena or this is Pisces, right? Now the moon will keep moving forward away from the sun, okay? Because the moon is much faster than the sun, right? From the Earth perspective, right? Now the moon keeps moving, right? But by the time it comes back, it will not meet sun in the same Pisces sign. Let's see that. Let's see that. Actually. So you see that the sun has already gone to the next sign here, right? Sometime before the moon could catch up, right? This is typically how it happens, right? The sun moves to the next sign before the moon can come and join it in the sign where the Amavasya happened before. This is how typically it is. However, in the case of an Adhika Masa, right, so which happens is once in every 3 years, the moon will actually move and catch up with the sun while the sun is not moved out of this sign. So that is when the Adhika Masa actually happens. So which means within the same month, there is one Amavasya, which is the first Amavasya that has happened. There's a Paurnami that has happened when the 180 degrees angle separation there. There is another Amavasya that happens in the same solar month also. So there are two Amavasyas within the same month. That is the definition of an Adhika Masa. Between two successive new moons or full moons, there is no solar transit that happens. So that is exactly what an Adhika Masa is. Right? Now, if you look at it, the last time it happened was sometime in July, August of 2023, right? So what happened during those times? See, before July, August, everything was happening as normal, right? So the Amavasya happened on 22nd of March. Then April 14th, sun moved into Mesha, and then Amavasya. So then Amavasya, sun ingress. Amavasya, sun ingress keeps happening sequentially, one after the other, right? However, when your Shravana Masa comes, right, which is July 16th, your sun entered as a particular sign, which is Kataka, right? Now, on July 17th, the sun and the moon are joining in Kataka to provide a Amavasya, and that is when the month begins, because the month always begins on Amavasya. But then, before the sun has moved into the next sign, which is Simha, the moon has gone a full circle and come back and joined again back sun in Kataka, right? So this is typically how the Adhika Masa happens, and only after the moon has gone forward, after August 17th, is when the sun goes to the next sign, which is Simha, right? So which leads to two Amavasyas between July 17th and August 17th, leading to and typically the month which gets these two Amavasyas is named as the Adhika Ravana month, right? This happened during the Shobhana Samvatsara of 2023-24. If time permits, I could actually show this, using the Jagannath Hora. It's also, but probably in the interest of time, I will skip it, right? But the point to remember here is the Adhika Masa is basically two Amavasyas happening within the same lunar month, which happens once in typically 3 years, approximately, and exactly it happens 7 times in a span of 19 years. So I think with that, we can take a pause for today, and any questions, any comments, any suggestions you may have, we can discuss that now. Yes, ma'am. Hari ma'am.
Actually, it's very interesting to note that this 19 years you said, no, there are 7 Adhika Masas in 19 years. At the same time, you take your birthday or anyone's birthday.
Correct.
Okay, the nakshatra, the tithi, and the
Gregorian.
Gregorian date
Correct.
matches. It's the solar
Exactly.
year, actually. It's the solar
Exactly.
year that
Correct.
matches. And
Correct.
in fact, 19th year, 38th year, 51st year.
Correct.
So this time, Republic Day, 76th year, is going to be the exact same. And it was on Bhishma Ashtami. So I was just
Okay.
making the calculations. It was very interesting. Bhishma
Correct.
Ashtami was the day on which our India was declared as republic. It is coming
Yeah.
on the Bhishma Ashtami with the
Correct.
same nakshatra. I think it's Ashwini.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. I had that point in mind, but it was, yeah, thanks for bringing it up, madam. It's interesting that 19 years has some, I don't know, some cyclical significance, right? So if you take the day you were born, the Gregorian date, the nakshatra, the tithi, all of them
All
will be
three.
exactly the same in your 19th year and in your 38th year. You can actually see this in the Panchanga if you're interested, right? The 57th and the 76th year, right? Yeah, so thank you for, and it also happens that the 7 Adhika Masas in 19 years, there is some coincidence which I'm not able to
No, I
exactly
think
correlate.
because we follow the solar calendar, so the lunar and the solar year becomes exact match on that 19th year.
Correct, correct, exactly.
So that
So the
is why it is
synchronization. So there's a perfect
synchronization.
synchronization of the lunar and the solar calendars once in 19 years. Exactly, right?
Yes.
So, and then it starts. However, in the Vedanta, see, so typically 19 years could have been a Yuga cycle, and maybe that's a Yuga cycle, you know. However, in our Vedanta Jyotisha, the 5-year Yuga cycle is considered more appropriate than the 19-year Yuga cycle. But that's because of non-astronomical reasons, right? It's because of the what's called the Panta, there's a significance attached to that number 5 when it comes to the Yagya, so they chose the 5-year Yuga cycle. However, the 19-year is can be a very good Yuga cycle because a perfect synchronization of the calendars happens at the end of every 19 years. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, so
I also realized that actually there has been a habit of doing Tarpanam during the beginning of the month, even though in South, we in at least in Tamil Nadu, we follow the solar calendar. But I think it's the remnant of following the lunar calendar at some point in time with the month beginning being Amavasya. Is that could that be the reason? I remember my grandfather doing Tarpanam on the beginning of the lunar month, I mean, or the Tamil months every month. So I always used to, I mean, I've asked him this question once. Why usually you do it during Amavasya, why do you do it during the beginning of the month? But he said he couldn't come up with a reason for that. Could that be the reason of?
irrespective of the tithi, is it, Ram? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
Irrespective of.
yeah. That Tithi. Yeah, I guess probably at some point in time, because I know our village goes way back to following like Telugu descendancy in some form. Because most of the Agraharam is actually, there are like 50% of them still speak Telugu at home. Well, I guess probably some of us have moved on to using Tamil as the primary language. So, but I guess the Tarpanam during the beginning of the month is probably because when you showed the calendar, it immediately struck, oh, the beginning of the month, if it happens to be on the Amavasya, that's probably why they were doing the Tarpanam.
Yeah,
But now when
I
you
think
switch the calendar,
correct. So I think the fact that it has to start at the beginning of the month has carried down, but the calendar has changed. right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the calendar is changed from lunar to solar. So they're carrying forward the practice. Maybe I'm just guessing.
Yeah. So now it makes sense why.
Yeah. I think Mahesh sir has a point.
Yes, see, what I'm saying is that, see, normally you do Tarpanam on 12 months, 12 Amavasya, plus 4 Ritu Tarpanams for change of seasons. Plus, I mean, I remember my great grandfather and all used to do for every month also. Actually, it used to come to about 100 and some Tarpanas, something like that per year. Maybe it was less. I don't remember, but it was a lot more. So over the years, that month thing dropped. Then Ritu also these days dropped. Right, very few people do that, and this includes on top of it the Malaya Paksham of 16 days. If you add all that, there is plenty of, just like, and now generally people do only 12 Amavasya Tarpanam every year, right? But that also now slowly going out, dropping out. Because I remember when I was in school, one thing I asked, because when somebody passes away, we do this 13th day, we do a function, right? After the 12th day, 13th day, they call it a Shubhasviha. Okay. Right. But in olden days, it was not like that. When I say olden days, my great grandfather day. Because I remember one of my elementary school classmate, his grandfather passed. They were bankers, actually. I was living in Kerala at that time. And his father did Shraddha every day till the next year came. So I asked this question when my father passed away to the priest. So what is the significance? How we are doing in 13? I've seen people doing it. He said he was a very old person. So maybe he's now 85 or something, that priest. So he said years ago, that's how it used to be. Now people have all rushed, they can't do all this every day and all that. So to continue to do your socialization, going to temple and all, they created a 13th day function so that you can get on with your life.
That is correct.
So that's what he said. Otherwise, all these things they do only at the every day do the Shraddham. I very well remember.
I do remember, sir, because unfortunately my uncle expired recently, and we were discussing the same topic, right? Why the 13th day, right? But what I heard from my family is also that it used to be every day until the same Tithi came in the next month, at least, right?
No, but then, it was just 1 year.
Okay, maybe, yeah, but I think at least I think it is at least the 15 days have to go. The complete Paksha has to cross, at least, is what I heard.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, apart from what we do on 27th day, 45th day, 90th day, 180 day, all those things. Apart from all that, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you look at all this, there's lots and lots of Tarpanam in 365 days.
Yeah, I remember this Shannavati Tarpanam, right? So 96 So the 96 prescribed days, right? For example,
that is all those things. I mean, if you dig into it, that's what it's all.
Yeah, every Amavasya, and even during the time of eclipses, you have to do Tarpana.
Yeah.
When the Ayana,
the eclipse and all comes under the Nainityaka karma. These are all Nitya karma, meaning which are continuously do it. Eclipse happens once in a while. It may happen, it may not happen. Whereas Shraddha, Amavasa, or daily Sandhyavandaram, all are Nitya karma.
Okay. Good.
Anyway, the more we learn, what I'm trying to say is, more things I learn, I can connect it to some practice I've seen when I was in school. Elementary school. Maybe today's children will never see it. But I mean, I'm talking when I was in elementary means 1962 or so. So But maybe that person was one off. I don't know, but I very well remember his father did it.
I think Harini madam has a
Actually, I just saw that in Rig Veda, that shloka about the 360 spokes for the wheel. So I have always wondered why we have 360-degree angle in a circle, and I always thought it was a celestial sphere. So we look at the celestial sphere, we cut it into 360 parts because it's a convenient number. It's very
correct.
close to what the sun
Correct.
takes. So that was the origin. Now, when I look at the Rig Veda and it exactly tells you that, I think I'll have to pick that shloka and put it in.
And interestingly, I forgot to mention this. When I visited the Konark temple, right? The Konark temple is a beautiful symbolism of the sun's movement, right? So there are multiple wheels. The wheels of the chariot,
Yes.
and each of the entire temple is modeled as a chariot, and each of the wheel has 360 kind of holes in them, right? Like, and it is designed in such a way that when the sun passes through the sky, the shadow falls in each of those one holes, based on which you can very precisely say the time of the day, right? It's a very beautiful design. Of course, there are many more symbolism associated with Konark, which hopefully we'll share some other day. But the Konark is a beautiful symbol of that passage of one day, the 360 degrees of the sun and all that. I just thought I'd share that.
Or same thing, in Padmanabha Swami temple in Trivandrum.
Yes.
If you see that Gopuram, every level there is a window, like any other Gopuram. But on equinox, two equinox, all will line up.
Correct.
Because I lived in Trivandrum, I've seen it. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And incidentally, there is a street in Manhattan, New York also, if I remember correctly.
I'm sorry, what?
There is a street in Manhattan, New York, where the sun, so it's a very narrow alley, right?
Yeah.
And on the day of the solstice, the equinox, the sun actually is exactly aligned with that, and the sun comes to it. So there are, across the cultures, people have tried to capture this.
Possible. Because all the streets are straight line. Both avenues and streets, certain length are all pure straight line. Just like in Pondicherry. Pondicherry also streets are straight line.
Yeah. I think Funny Raj has a...
So like what I'm thinking is all those structures, all these things people built years and years ago, a lot of thought process have gone into it, especially to the astronomy and all that, which goes into, we just go to the temple, pray and come back. There's a lot more to the temple than that.
Absolutely.
So every temple, I'm telling you, especially in South India, every temple you go, there's a lot to learn. Anyway, sorry, I know somebody else.
Funny Raj has a point.
Yeah, Madhu. We were out of syllabus question. What's the Sanskrit names for solstices and equinoxes? Kannada or Sanskrit names?
Okay, good question. I actually have it in my notes. I'm not able to recollect it now.
It's okay. Take it down. That's why I said out of syllabus.
Yeah. There is a name. I'll share it.
No problem. Yeah, sure.
Definitely names are there. Okay. So I think Ram, you have a point?
Yeah, one quick question. In the slide where you had that Pakshi, right? The verse said, it actually said Shiraha, but the translation said it is the mouth of the seasons or something like that. Can you go back to the slide? I just took a note.
Yeah, I'll just share it again.
I was just wondering, is that...
You are now testing my Sanskrit knowledge, which is not.
No. It's not your translation. It's actually the standard. The lower left, right? It says Tasyate Vasantaha Shiraha, but the translation says spring is the mouth of the seasons. So I was just wondering. I remember, because I'm just learning that. I noticed that it says, so
Samvatsarasya
this pattern
Vasanta Shila.
repeats, right? Whose translation is this? Which book is this from?
This is Balakrishna Dikshit. I'll share you the reference name. You can have a look at it. Sanjay Balakrishna Dikshit. It's called Bharatiya Jyotish Shastra Part 1. Sanjay Balakrishna Dikshit. SB Dikshit. Yeah.
But the picture of that bird, that spring is head, Vasanta.
Yeah, the Vasanta is strategically positioned between the head and the mouth, actually. So it can go either way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is at least shown as near the head. Say
Yeah,
compared to.
I don't know, Ram, if Shiraha can be interpreted as the mouth, is it because Sanskrit, as you know, very subtle interpretations.
Yeah, we have used Mukam, right? So, which is
Yeah,
one of the.
Mukam, yeah.
Mukam is actually both.
Mukam, Vadanam.
I was just wondering whether it's something that because this pattern of these five things that comes in repeats in the end of every Samhita end, which it talks about a context, and then at the end of it, it actually talks about what is the start, end, and the middle. So I guess this is the paragraph about the seasons, I think, in the Taittiriya Samhita. So, and I was just wondering, so because typically it is the beginning, but in this case, if you take the context of Mukam, then it could be both, right? And which is one of the reasons why Brahmanasya Mukamasit is actually could be interpreted as both, right?
Yeah, but if you see here, Mukham va eta
Etad
rituna. So etad rituna Mukham. So here again he is referring to the spring. Etad ritu, here is the spring, right? So
That's
here,
true.
so maybe this is an interpretation of the previous sloka, not the next one, if I interpret it correctly.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So although
Because
it
I
is
saw that.
closer to this
Oh, okay, yeah,
sloka,
you could be right. Yeah.
yeah.
Since I saw the English, then the Sanskritam, then I thought it was actually the other way around. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but I will share this document with you and the reference to you so you can actually look it up in detail.
Well, it actually gives the context on how to interpret each one of those paragraphs, the last line. I'll go back to my thing and see what each one of those paragraphs talks about.
When
typically, there are a lot of hidden context.
One Sanskrit scholar told me that, the Middle Ages time, all the poets or the kavis used to describe all the Shadrutus so that they can showcase their skill at poetry and the chandas. So almost every great poet has written something about the Shadrutus.
In fact, madam, as you speak, I am actually learning Mrita Sanjeevanam, Kacha Devayani story, where there's a dialogue that happens between Kacha and Devayani, where see Kacha is a very serious guy, whereas Devayani is she has a lot of affection for Kacha. So both of them are describing the spring season. While Devayani is describing the spring season with a lot of romance, Kacha is describing the same spring season with a metaphor of spirituality, like doing the Homa and things like that. It's a very beautiful dialogue. Like you say, your point is poets will not miss a chance to explain the beauty of these seasons, especially the Vasanta Ritu. Right?
Especially Vasanta Ritu, yes.
Kalidasa, I mean, we don't even need to ask Kalidasa. It's like I don't know, it's very this thing for him, right? Anyway, I think we have kind of gotten into a slightly this. So we'll continue with the next class, right? And again, I guarantee that the next class will be interesting because we'll see the reason for the order of our days, why it is like in the certain order, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The astronomy behind it, we will see that. And we will, I think we'll see the Panchanga, how we calculate the Panchanga, right? I have a small assignment for today, which I will share related to Adhika Masa and the Yuga cycle and all that, which we discussed in the last two classes. So please feel free to solve that assignment and carry it with you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
attending
you.
today's class. Dhanyawadaha. See you next class.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Very insightful. Yeah. Thank you.